Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another round of Bases Picks. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. Now, suffice to say, last week didn't go too well. Probably one of the worst round of picks that I think I've ever had. I was 1 in 5, which is, that's a 20% ratio. And I don't normally ever get lower than like maybe 60, maybe 58%. So yeah, it was a bit of a tough pill to swallow, but hopefully we get back on track this week. 3 different sets of picks will go out, but what I'm trying to decide is whether or not I'm gonna add a new way and the top rank card to this one, because I just don't know what the traction's gonna be. But that being said, look, it's another video for the channel, so I'll do all 3 of them, all separate, and yeah, we'll get into it. So without trying to make this one overly long, let's get into the picks. Okay, so first off, we've got Teofimo Lopez versus Arnold Barbosa. Now this is probably the most, for me, the most 50-50 fight. I'll say that purely because Teofimo Lopez on his day can look like a very special fighter. Arnold Barbosa usually on his day looks like crap, but Arnold Barbosa just has this special ability of making his opponent look just that little bit worse than him. And whatever he does in the ring is majorly effective. So as much as I always say he just looks like a terrible boxer, to me, I've only ever seen him have like 2 really good performances. He always seems to get the job done, and I have to respect that. So this fight, the way I'm looking at it, Teofimo Lopez, I feel, probably has the more natural talent and ability, better athlete, you know, sort of better, maybe not ring craft as such, but I guess just sort of the more special talent. He's got the more natural talent, whereas Arnold Barbosa seems like someone that's had to work on his craft a bit. The problem with Teofimo Lopez is he either blows extremely hot, nuclear, or he is, you know, he is like Arctic snow. And I just don't know which way he's going to lean in this one. Now, the thing is, I've also said his 2 greatest performances, which were, you know, you had Lomachenko and then you had Josh Taylor. There's still asterisks next to both of those. As much as he put on a great performance in both fights, Lomachenko was fighting with one shoulder and Josh Taylor was basically fighting on one leg. And people believe that he lost the fight previous to that. So it shouldn't even have been a championship fight, if we're being totally honest in that sense. But Teo came out and, you know, he dominated both of those fights, or at least, well, he dominated the Lopez fight after about the 3rd round, and the Lomachenko fight, he, you know, he controlled the first half and then kind of just held on and survived at the end. But you mix that in with a Jermaine Ortiz fight, which, you know, a lot of people believe Jermaine Ortiz won. A Sandor Martin fight, which most people believe that Sandor Martin won. A Steve Claggett fight where he basically, you know, was getting pushed around the ring by a club fighter, even though yes, he was landing the shot. He still won the fight, but he didn't look convincing. If you're supposed to be the takeover and, you know, this elite level talent, you're not supposed to be having a stakeout with, you know, someone the likes of Steve Claggett. The Pedro Campo fight was an okay introduction to the 140 division, but again, it still wasn't great. And then you've got Arnold Barbosa, who never really looks great, but if you look at the fights outside of the Sean McComb fight, which he was comprehensively beat in as far as I'm concerned, and I don't understand how he got that decision. But then, you know, you've got the Jack Catterall fight. He looked, you know, he basically beat Catterall at his own game in his backyard. He had the Jose Ramirez fight as well. He had the Jose Pedraza fight, and I think that was probably one of his best looking performances. And I think he also fought African guy. Was it Solani? I think he might have been. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I know who I'm thinking of, and I think that's one of the last. I'm not sure if he stopped him, but it was a very dominant performance. But outside of that, like I said, he doesn't look like anything special, but he manages to find the victory. Now, Teofimo Lopez has pretty much not been wanting to fight this guy since the Top Rank days, from about 2-3 years ago. Like Arnold Barbosa was calling his name saying, I want Teofimo Lopez, and Lopez kept making excuse after excuse. Now the fight's here. I don't know if Teofimo believes that this is a fighter that's on his level, but I feel like he should. Not because Barbosa is good, but just because he seems to have a way of making you dance to his tune in the ring. And if he decides that he wants to be the guy on the back foot, hanging back, making Teo have to try and chase him, that's where he actually will win the fight, because he's a taller guy, rangier, longer levers. Teofimo isn't good on the front foot. He's not good at closing the distance. He's not good at cutting off the ring. He is very much a guy, he's a counter puncher. He prefers being on the back foot and walking you onto shots. Arnold Barbosa is not really going to give him the type of opportunities that he wants consistently. And that's the problem I think I have. I feel like Barbosa is just going to try to employ the jab a lot and keep Teo at range, and then occasionally just employ the backhand when Teo is suitably out of range that he can't counter. And I think that's basically going to be a pattern of a majority of the fight. The interesting thing will be if Teo can slip the jab, get on the inside, and maybe then start to, look a bit flashy, and maybe use a little bit of mind games for the judges to make them believe that he's winning the bout. But I don't know if he could do it. And for all of those reasons I've stated, Teo doesn't look good most of the time when he's fighting these days, if we're being honest. And Arnold Barbosa always seems to be able to find a victory from somewhere. I've got Arnold Barbosa winning this. I think it's going to points. I think it will be a fairly conclusive bout. A 116, 112 type affair. I wouldn't be surprised if it ends up being a split decision or like a majority decision with Teo getting some A-side consideration, but I'm expecting Arnold Barbosa to win this fight quite handily, take that belt off of Teofimo, and at least we can stop hearing him say that he's undisputed at 140. Okay, so next we got Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez. Now, I haven't had a chance to look at the weigh-ins, but from what I've heard, Devin Haney looked tremendous on the scales. Now, I know it was a ceremonial weigh-in, so it wasn't like the main one, but as far as I'm aware, it's a full 147, sort of 147 bout. They were supposed to do a catch weight, I think, at 143. I don't know what the actual what the sizes they weighed in at. I know it was supposed to be a catch weight, but from then it got moved, from what I was told, to a full 147 bout. So if you look at it stylistically, you would think that Jose Ramirez should have enough and have the advantage. He's a come forward, he's a pressure fighter. Devin Haney is more of a pure boxer, likes to stick on the outside. But when you pressure someone, you make them fight when they don't want to fight, make them constantly have to move. You drain the gas tank, work to the body, and sometimes you just end up flustering and overwhelming them. But I don't think Jose Ramirez has necessarily got that for Devin, and the reason I say that is because Ramirez is a pressure fighter in terms he comes forward with smart pressure, but he doesn't let his hands go often unless like he's fully in range. He won't sort of leap in with the left and then try to throw a right to the body and come back up trying to pop the jab and like push you back with the jab. He's not that kind of guy. He's more of a high guard, walk forward, try to get into range. As soon as you get into range, a little touch, then try to dig to the body back over the top. He has to feel set to throw his shots, and he's very not economical with his work, but he doesn't just let the shots go and make you have to worry about defending them. And I think doing that and giving Devin Haney the time that he needs to be able to find the shots specifically, I think is where the trouble comes. So I think that while he may end up testing Devin Haney's gas tank in terms of, can he move, can he constantly get out of the way, or when a shot's coming back, can he stay switched on for the 12 rounds that the fight's taking place. I do think the extra weight will help Devin more than Ramirez, because Ramirez is not the fleetest of foot anyway. He's a bit slow, a bit ploddy, a bit cumbersome. So those extra 7 pounds, yes, they might invigorate him in terms of his stamina and maybe output a little bit, but he's still going to be slow. So if he's going to be slow, I feel like Devin will be able to pick him off and move around the target to then, find the shots that he needs to make the rounds clear. Now, I've been working with Shane Mosley, and I've heard that he says that he's corrected his punching, and he's punching harder now. He's put people down before. He's got those KOs, so he does have that ability, but we just haven't really seen it ever since he started boiling himself down for the 135, 140. He threw a couple decent shots at 140, so maybe the power might increase, the technique might get better at 147. We'll have to wait and see. But with that being said, I do think that Devin Haney does win. It's going to be competitive. It's obviously going to be interesting to see how he deals with the emotions, if he has any flashbacks of the Ryan Garcia fight. But I expect him to win, beat Ramirez, not super comfortably, but convincing enough that we feel like, okay, he's back. So unanimous decision to Devin Haney is my prediction. We will have to wait and see how it goes a little bit later on. And last but not least, we got Ryan Garcia versus Rolly Ramirez. I mean, why do I always call him Ramirez? Rolly Romero. Look, this is probably the easiest one to predict in a sensible world. The thing with Rolly is that he is very unpredictable. Doesn't have the greatest stance, doesn't have the greatest footwork. But one thing we can say is he does really crack. He has a really good punch on him once he can kind of get into range. However, Ryan being the taller guy of the two, he can, if he wants, just box on the outside. He definitely looks bigger than Rolly Romero does now compared to how they used to look. Rolly has had several stoppage losses in the last 2 years, and I just feel as if whenever he gets hit, when he gets hurt, he loses his construct very quickly. He doesn't have great survival instincts. We also know, when he was born, he's, whether it's fundamental skeletal problems, whether it's, neurological, whether it's just learning difficulties, I don't feel like his synapses properly work in conjunction with the rest of his body the way they're supposed to. So when he gets hit, you can usually tell that he's been hit. He's got an abnormally small head for his body as well, which, so maybe the brain is a bit too close to the skull, so it jiggles about a bit more. I'm not even trying to be disrespectful to him, but outside of a freak right hand or a left hand, this is Ryan Garcia's fight to win within 4 rounds. I don't think it really goes longer than that. If Rolly gets aggressive on the inside, Ryan will, he'll throw that left hook in. I feel like Rolly's best chances in this fight is to try and tuck with the high guard, try to guard around the sides of the face, just try to bulldoze Ryan, get on the inside, just grab him, hold him, maybe frame him with the forearm, get real dirty, make the ref want to call break, like hit on the brakes, do things like that, just rough him up, try to get him into the corners, pound away at the body, and basically just be dirty and make it a really ugly fight, very similar to that sparring session they had like 8-10 years ago, whenever it was. But realistically, I just don't see any of that happening. I see Ryan Garcia splattering him inside, like I said, 4 rounds, whether it's a left hook, whether it's a straight right, whether it's a right uppercut. I see Rolly going good night. It might be a fun first round, fun second round. But yeah, if it goes any more than 4, I'll be really surprised, if I'm honest. But I'll give myself a spread up to the 7th. But yeah, that's ultimately my prediction. It's a stoppage win for Ryan. Actually, not even a stoppage, KO. Say whether I think the ref counts, they get the full 10 count and then the wave off afterwards, and that's how I see it ending, between 4 to 7. So yeah, leave your comments down below. Let me know what you think is going to happen in the fights over the course of this the night, and I will catch you lot on the watch along later, and we'll see who's right, see who's wrong. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thank you very much for watching. For right now, this version of it anyway, that's Basis Picks, locked.